Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 6 of Zad's Galaxy Tour Season 10. My name is Shim. I'm excited to bring you the coverage today of round 6 of Season 10 of the Zad's Galaxy Tour, brought to you by Zealous Racing League. Today we are racing at the beautiful Zolder circuit, as we watch Fender and another car slipping out behind him there. We have a 60-minute race today at Zolder, with our drivers having one mandatory pit stop. So a little bit shorter of a race today in comparison to some of them that we've been having in recent weeks. Last week we had a 75-minute race at Masano. I was talking to some of the guys ahead of time. Seemed like that was a pretty long race, at least to me. But today it should be relatively short and sweet, although, as Portis says, Zolder rarely has anything sweet to offer for our drivers. It's a very tricky track, very unforgiving if you take these chicanes that you just saw Rivera go through. If you take those chicanes wrong, very unforgiving. And with one mandatory pit stop, our drivers will have to consider what their pit stop strategy will be tonight. Another strategy to consider along with the pit stop is some of our drivers taking their Joker race this race. Not too many drivers have opted to have Zolder be their Joker, but as you may know if you've been watching sessions past, the Joker is one of the races that each driver has to pick one race basically that is going to be their Joker race. They will opt out of qualifying. They will not set a qualifying time, and they will start at the back of the grid in the order that they join the server. Today we only have two drivers listed as the drivers doing their Joker race this week, and that is Adam Henry and Zach Hickman. So only two drivers. I think only Henry has been sticking with the races in previous weeks here. I don't believe Hickman's been joining us, but that being said, Adam Henry will be taking his Joker. He will be starting at the back of the pack and will be, I believe, the only one to do so unless any other drivers decide to take it as well. We do have a bit of sad news this week to report, that one of our drivers had to unexpectedly drop out. Ari Harderson had to drop out due to some schooling constraints, some time constraints with other things that they had to do outside of sim racing. Was just too much of a commitment to do it every single week with all of their commitments that they had, which is always really sad to see. But we do wish Ari the best of luck and everything in the real world. That being said, the sad news of losing a driver comes with the great news of gaining a driver. We actually do have a new driver in our ranks this race, Matt, and I'm going to try my best to get his last name right, but Matt Skrzkowski. I think I'm pretty good there. It's kind of a running gag now that I mess up names. I'm pretty sure Skrzkowski is actually pretty close. If I'm wrong, and Matt, you're watching this later, just shoot me at IM. I'll try to get it right in the future. But like I said, with the sadness of losing a driver, we do gain a new driver into our ranks. Ooh, a little bit of carnage out of the pits there. Between one of our poutine cars, and didn't really see what both of the drivers that were involved in that. But Circuit Zolder, believe it's in Belgium if I'm not mistaken. But Circuit Zolder, an interesting track. Definitely a staple of sim racing and racing everywhere. I feel like a lot of people know it, although um, it's not nearly as popular as some other tracks on our calendar. Like I think a lot of drivers, ooh, a little bit of carnage right there with our friend Glenn Pinio. See now comes back on the track, but I feel like Zolder isn't like Spa or any other track that people know really well. Um, but it's still up there in some of the more noteworthy tracks. I feel like I feel like it doesn't get a lot of love in a lot of the leagues that I've seen. And I know Zealous. It's not that Zealous hasn't been giving Zolder love. It's just not a track that we tend to race very often because it does tend to be a pretty narrow track at times. Um, there aren't a lot of opportunities to pass here at Zolder. Um, and even when there is a good opportunity to pass, it's actually pretty treacherous to do so. Um, there's a lot of very tricky chicanes, a lot of really tricky parts of this track. We've got a hairpin that's very deadly, very difficult. We've got a ton of chicanes that are very difficult. You basically can't go too wide at. A lot of very tricky parts of this track that make it a favorite for a lot of people. I know me personally, this is one of my favorite tracks, but it also makes it a track that a lot of drivers find very, very difficult. I know a lot of people that don't like Zolder for the same reasons that I personally love it. Um, you know, not everyone wants this really technical chicane challenge, but I find joy in it despite the chicanes personally. But very tricky circuit. It's going to be difficult for drivers to pass here today, especially if they're within a few tenths even of the driver in front of them. It's going to be really tough for for our drivers to be able to pass. As we watch Mr. Collis go into the pits here. Looking at our timing here in free practice, a lot of our drivers really close to the top. Rivera actually currently setting faster laps than Larson, but we know Larson's blistering in qualifying, so we'll have to see what comes of that. Zhang also putting in some great laps here in that in that Audi, sorry. Here we have our friend Portis. Seems to be having some trouble with this track. Currently sitting P5 in our free practice timing sheets. But we are currently at round 6 of 10 for season 10. In the coming weeks, we have Alton Park, the Nürburgring, Laguna Seca, and last but not least, Kyalami. So a lot of different track locales coming up here shortly. As usual, Kyalami will be our crown jewel race, the last race of the season. It's going to be a longer race than anyone before. That's being said with this season of long races. But I know next week's going to be a great one to watch because Alton is a track that the Honda is notoriously not great at. All of our Honda drivers will attest, and as you can see, our top drivers this season are all in the Honda. A lot of them are all in the Honda, I should say. We do have Zhang, Pena up there. Currently, in the Aston Martin and the Audi. But should be hopefully a interesting race. It's also the race that our friend Christopher Larson, who has currently won every single race this season, it is the one track that he is taking his Joker on. And also Portis will be taking his Joker there as well. So it should be very interesting to see them battle it out up the field. I know Portis is usually really quick to get into the server. So could be a case of Portis trying to hold off Larson for the whole race and maybe um, force Larson to have a worse race than maybe he had initially planned. But should be very interesting there. One thing that we haven't seen yet this season is some rain. Haven't seen really any rain this season. Oh, we've had some changes. So wait, the Honda is fast at Alton. Maybe I got that wrong. Also, you're taking it at the Nürburgring. Oh, I read that wrong. I'm glad I'm not going to miss that. I'm glad I'm not going to miss that. Next week I will be out. We'll have um, a guest racer, or a guest commentator, I should say, and streamer for the league, as I will be out on a work trip. But I misspoke. I got that completely opposite from what people were saying. I was under the impression that people were saying the NSX was incredibly slow at Alton Park, but I am wrong. I am 100% wrong. That being said, the BOP changes that Larson's talking about in the chat doesn't really affect him. He's doing well regardless of any BOP changes. But yes, I did misread that Larson will be doing his Joker during round 8 at the Nürburgring. One of 2 drivers to be taking it then. As our drivers wind down, a few, our friend Rodman Jr. here, Larson needs BOP nerf. I say we give him a 100 kilogram ballast and see how he does. I kid, I kid. We shouldn't be punishing him for putting in the time and setting some absolutely blistering laps out there. As we wind down with our free practice here, just want to remind you guys, well, one, just thank you all for your support. We really appreciate everything our community does to promote ZRL, from all the way of sharing it with your friends to coming out and racing with us. And if you're new to sim racing, if you're new to Zealous, if this is your first time, be sure to like and follow the video. Be sure to uh, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you're interested in learning more about Zealous Racing League and everything that we have to offer, be sure to join our Discord. Um, all of the links are on the homepage of our YouTube channel. And our Discord's just where you're going to get the most up-to-date information on everything that Zealous has to offer. Any new seasons or any specialty events that we're going to be hosting, all of that's going to be announced first on the Discord channel. And also, if you're new to sim racing and just need some help, need a community to maybe help you learn about sim racing and get to grips with the hobby, with the sport, um, yeah, be sure to join because we have tons of drivers, we have tons of people, all of which would be happy to help you out. So, yeah, be sure to check all that out and thank you for your support. And while I was saying there, Larson was like, lol, Zhang was right behind me last week. Yeah, I know. The drivers are right behind you every week, but you're still winning all the races, so I know. We give you too hard of a time, Larson. I'm not gonna lie. We really do give you too hard of a time. But I think you're good enough that we deserve to give you a little bit of a hard time. Maybe a little bit. I don't know. But could be a really interesting race this week because as you can see, Rivera, at least in free practice, setting some wonderful laps out there. We'll have to see here as we wind down the seconds here in our wait to go into qualifying here. 12 minutes of qualifying for our drivers. Session starts now. Here we are. Sorry, 15 seconds for qualifying, or 15 minutes for qualifying. Sorry. And let's go take a look at our drivers here. Looks like Portis is our first car out onto the track to set hot laps. Looks like Van Fleet is behind him. And you know what? I think we're going to follow Van Fleet. We did follow Portis last week on his fast lap. So, we're sorry. We did follow Portis last week. So, we haven't followed Larson in a while. We'll follow Larson this week. Or, I'm getting all mixed up here. Sorry. Back to Van Fleet. Back to Van Fleet. We'll watch him on his first hot lap. Something I like to do to help everyone get to grips with the tracks that we are going to race on. I usually like to follow the first driver out, but since Portis was the driver that I followed last week, I'm going to try and follow a different driver this week. Now, I'm probably not going to be able to name a lot of the these turns at this track because a lot of them are in uh, the Belgian language, are in German. But let's follow Van Fleet here on his first lap. We have a very sweeping left-hander there. Very difficult. So you got to be on the gas not too early there for fear of going wide. And then you go into a right-hander here, powering all the way through, using as much of the track as possible, braking into what ends up being pretty much a 90-degree turn, but it's nice and curved and angled there. Down the straight to our first chicane, probably the most deadly of all the chicanes. Don't want to hit those sausage curbs too high. It looks like Van Fleet did a really good job of managing those sausage curbs and that first chicane, and then we go up the hill, down the hill into our second chicane. This is one that it's really delicate. You need to cut the corner to get the maximum amount of time, but track limits are very dangerous right there as we go into kind of a little squared off section here as they come back up the hill and just down a little bit as we come to a hairpin. Trying to be on the gas into a little bit of a kink in the road. Powering all the way through though, braking just before the banner there into our last chicane. You want to be on the gas as early as possible. Very difficult to manage right there. Easy to lose the car. Looks like Van Fleet did a really good job there. 8/10 back from Portis. That's going to be a good first lap. Going to hope for better as you can see here on that second lap. He goes much wider than the first time, which is where you get the most time, is just trying to manage how wide you go on the exit there. Going back to the rest of our drivers though, let's take a look at Belanger here, one of our Franco Sujo drivers in the Poutine car, starting his hot lap. Now we have Christopher Larson, championship leader right now, coming through turn 2. and around the bend, going to the windmills there, the iconic windmills of Zolder. We have our friend Glenn Pinio. Usually is one to stream the races, but has said he really wants to try and focus the best he can this race. Here we have our new friend, Matt Zerskowski. Skrzkowski. Again, gonna be butchering these names. Opts to end the lap right there, though. Let's watch our friend Martin Alberts for a little brief moment here as he comes through that first chicane. Our friend in the Martin Cheese Motorsports car. Seems to be getting held up a little bit by, I believe that's Gomez. And indeed, that is Gomez right there. Getting held up a little bit, forming a bit of a train. Gomez is a new driver with us, but he's learning the ropes. Hopefully he's getting to grips pretty well with everything there. Ricardo Rivera, driver with a lot of contention last week with some dicey interactions with other cars on track. Some penalties were awarded. I believe he still finished in the top 10. A very commendable position, but you never like to see drivers getting into kerfuffles. A few other drivers were getting into some incidents as well. I believe Fender was one of them. Another Audi was involved in those incidences as well. Maybe Turnbull, Wicks maybe was involved in some incidences last week. Just a lot of carnage at Misano last week. Nobody was really spared of any of it. Yeah, Portis, who was able to improve on his last time, opts to end the lap right there. Portis only a 10th back from Larson right now. Definitely about the closest that he's been to Larson in my recent memory. Here we watch Shankai Zhang. Zhang, an absolutely quick driver. Belanger back to him in the Poutine car. Rivera's last lap was his fastest, a 28.387. Zhang is less than a half a tenth behind. Actually, it's exactly a half a tenth behind. Van Fleet currently setting times half a second back from Larson in the lead right now. Ooh, lot of curb there from Rivera. Is going to opt to end the lap right there. Probably going to be a bit frustrated with that. It's always hard to see that happen. Here we have our friend Jose Nunez. See what he can do there. Doesn't seem to be getting a good grips of this track. Nunez, usually one of our fastest drivers on the track, setting laps up near the top, seems to be having some troubles with this track. Maybe it's just a little bit of unfamiliarity. Definitely not utilizing as much of the track there as he could. But a very good turn down the back straight there. We're more than halfway through our qualifying session here. We have 6 minutes 40 seconds left. That is a almost definite cut track there for Nunez. Zhang just a half a tenth back from Larson now up there in the front. Watching Nunez again is able to improve. As he comes around that last little hairpin there. Maybe trying to set himself up for a hot lap here in front of the 52 of Zerskowski. Watching our current leader. He was able to improve on the last lap, but not by too much. Now he's being slowed down a little bit by Gomez. Zerskowski is able to set a lap, enough for 13th fastest. Larson's last lap was definitely slowed down there. It looks like he almost hit the wall, if I'm not mistaken there. Maybe that was a little bit of a glitch in the system. Or at least a little glitch in what I saw. Looking at some cars coming in behind here. Here's our friend Max Sunthalap. Currently best is 29.2. Portis just barely not able to improve his time right there. He was just about a 10th back from his best time. Turnbull here, last lap was 7/10 back from his best. Current best is a 30.170. Belanger here, one of our Ferrari drivers, with a 29.257 for his best. Back to our friend Sunthalap here as he rounds the hairpin. 3 minutes and 10 seconds left in our qualifying session. Portis rounding the same turn here. Fletcher, current best is a 30.320. Rivera has been able to get within 2/10 of Larson, but hasn't been able to put one in better than a 27.947. Pena was able to improve enough to eke out P5, provisional P5 from Van Fleet. Winded down the clock here for qualifying. Larson sets a blistering lap of a 27.337. That puts him 4/10 up ahead of Zhang and Portis. Other drivers will need to respond here. See if Pena can do a better lap. Isn't able to improve on his best. Rivera isn't able to improve. 1 minute and 15 seconds left. This is going to be Rivera and Pena's last lap of qualifying. Fender, currently P11, is opting to end his qualifying session right there. Same with Turnbull, P15 provisionally. Zhang currently still out on track. This is going to be his last fast lap, though. The 29 car of Matthew Reed's crossing the line now. Isn't able to improve his time, but he is continuing onward, hoping to do one better. Pena now going to be crossing the line. This is going to be his last attempt. Is not able to improve provisional P5. Rivero now opting to go into the pits, is not going to be able to improve on his laps. Nunez going into the pits. Portis opting to finish out this lap. Let's see if he's got one faster in him. Ooh, he improves enough to get provisional P2 from Zhang. But let's watch Zhang, and Zhang's opting to omit that lap there. Last driver on track yet is Matthew Reed. And he is opting to end his lap as well. Or sorry, not going to be ending his lap. He's going to keep going, and he does beat his teammate Belanger for provisional P7, or for P7, I should say, because we are officially now done with qualifying. Now our drivers will have 3 minutes to get their last minute changes in order to their cars, and that gives me time to go through our starting lineup. So, starting on the front row, we have Larson and Portis. It's a great performance from Portis. Haven't seen him on the front row in a few races, so hopefully he can maintain that and maintain pace with Larson. We'll have to see what happens there. Another quick driver right behind Zhang was very close to Portis. The second row is going to be Zhang and Rivera. Row 3, Pena, Van Fleet. 4, Reed and Belanger, teammates battling it out on the front line, or on the line, I should say. 5, row 5 is going to be Wicks and Suntalap. Row 6, our new driver, Zerskowski, Skrzkowski and Fender. I want to say this is row 7, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be our friend Alberts and Nunez. Then we have Turnbull, Collis, Fletcher, Wolf, Pinio, Gomez, Henry, last but not least, our friend Rodman Jr. III. Starting from the back of the pack. So our drivers have a minute and a half to do their last minute setup changes, make sure their tire pressures are good, make sure they have enough fuel in their car before we start the race. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us, and if you're interested in learning more about Zealous Racing League, be sure to like and subscribe, and also join our Discord. Link is on the home page of the YouTube channel. Be sure to join our Discord if you're new, and let us know that you're interested. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information on all of the Zealous Racing League special events and seasons. But here we go. 45 seconds left for our drivers. We have a 1 hour race. 1 hour race at Zolder. 1 mandatory pit stop for our drivers during this race. So our drivers are going to really going to have to manage their tires here. Going to have to manage everything. And we have odds of a clean first lap. I think here at Zolder that might be a little bit slimmer than most tracks. And sorry to hear that, Lee, as well. Bad connection. That is very tragic, but hopefully we'll be able to sort that out for future weeks. And that means you can come and watch the stream now. So I guess there is a silver lining to everything. I'm just kidding. I'm sure you'd rather be out there on the track. I know some days I wish I was, but here we go. 1 hour is about to start here momentarily as we watch our drivers line up on that start-finish straight. We have a couple drivers that are in the pits. Couple drivers in the pits. Looks like Gomez is one of them. Oh, we'll just have to watch it later to see later. And here we are, green, green, green. Larson's got a great jump off the line, and Zhang's got the inside line going into turn one. Rivera's right on Zhang's tail. Portis, though, with that outside line, doing very well to hold off Zhang. And Portis seems to have just tucked himself right there into the train, and currently sitting P2, has held his position as Larson continues to lead the race from his pole position. Any other issues as we go further back in the pack? Nothing so far. Gonna have to watch it as our drivers. We do have a driver off here, Turnbull. A little bit of a squirrely incident there. A few drivers forgot to push the start button as we watch some of our drivers go through the chicane too wide. Two of our drivers, Fletcher and Rodman there, going in too wide in one of the chicanes. As we come out of the second chicane here, looks like everything is clean so far. Larson's really pulling a gap on the drivers behind. Portis and Zhang staying close. Portis trying to gain some time in the braking zone there. Rivera and Pena getting very close behind. And actually, I think Pena moved in front of his teammate there. Abner Pena moved in front of his teammate and is actually giving the spot back to Rivera there. A little bit of maybe team orders there. Rivera is going to move back into P4 in front of Pena. And now hopefully they're just going to tow each other along, work together as a team there to hopefully stay with the groups ahead. Portis still managing to stay ahead. We have Reed here getting on the tail of Van Fleet. Belanger, Wicks, Sunthalap is all in this little group here. Wicks loses a position to Sunthalap. Belanger breaks a little bit late there, but does stay in front. Sunthalap and Wicks there, too wide going into this next turn. And it looks like maybe some contact there, maybe some slight contact, but both drivers are still on the track. That's good to see. Wicks will squeeze out ahead of Sunthalap here as they come down to the first chicane. A little bit of a tap behind, and it looks like Nunez actually forgets the braking zone there. We have another driver, Rodman Jr., that gets spun out there. Maybe some contact there. So go back to the front of the pack. Reed pulling a 1.5 second gap ahead of drivers behind. Portis, Zhang, and Rivera staying close together here within a half a tenth of everyone. But like I said, it's going to be really difficult to pass unless you're, you know, much faster than the car ahead. Zhang getting awfully close in the braking zone there. As they come down the start-finish straight. Pit window is now open after lap 2. Remember, we have a 90% track, or sorry, 90% race pit window. So that means that the middle 90% of the race will be within the pit window. So very beneficial for our drivers to not get into any major incidences. It looks like Nunez is going into the pits right away. Maybe trying to get some clean air. Seems to be a track that he struggles with. Watching our drivers here very close. Looks like Zhang may have cut a little bit of the track there, but we'll have to see if he gets any warnings or anything for that. I could definitely see drivers receiving some warnings or some penalties for track limits and fractions this race. Zhang feeling the heat from Rivera behind. Pena is just trying to stay close. Van Vliet and Reed have dropped back 3 seconds from this little pack here, and Portis isn't able to keep up with Larson. They are now almost 3 seconds behind Larson. Looking at our timing, 2.5 is about the time that we're given on the timing sheets. Here we have our friend Max Suntelap, Wicks behind him. Suntelap currently in P9. Doesn't seem to be too many battles going on right now in the race. We do have the battle here for P2, 3, and 4. Trying to stay close to Portis, but looks like Portis has got a little bit of a pace advantage from Zhang here. Rivera definitely definitely pressuring Zhang right now. Looking for an opportunity. It's going to be difficult. Going to have to get a very good run to gain that position. Looking at the timing sheets as well, they're just trying to stay close to each other here. Looks like Larson's already had some blistering laps already in the 27s. All other drivers are slower than that. In 28s, no one else is in the 27s. 28s, 29s, 30s, 31s. So Larson being awfully quick. 3 seconds up. We have the 66 car with a little bit of an incident there into one of the chicanes, into the second chicane. Looks like there's might be some damage on that McLaren. Wolf, Pinio, and Turnbull here. Bit of a battle ensuing. Rodman is close as well. You can see friend and admin Collis up there. Kind of in a nice little bubble, hoping to stay ahead of this group behind him. Hoping to gain a bit of time. Last few laps, Portis has been losing a bit of time to drivers behind. Zhang is now 3/10 away and really getting close in those braking zones. Portis looks maybe just trying to be cautious. Doesn't want to get himself into any trouble. Zhang just peeking his nose out there, seeing if he can make a move. Does think better of it. Ooh, Zhang very close there as they go into turn 1. And remember, Rivera is right there too, so definitely feeling pressure. Here we have our friend Glenn Pinio. In front of him is Wolf and Turnbull. We watched this battle just a little bit ago. Looks like Turnbull's trying to make a move on Pinio. Isn't able to find a spot. That's, again, one of the tricky parts. Might be faster, but there really isn't enough room to make any moves work here. Going to get really lucky with a mistake maybe from the driver ahead. You know, I didn't want to take a break so early, but I do need to take a little bio break here. So I'm going to go do that real quick and keep the stream up and running so you guys can watch the action here unfold. But I'll be right back just in a moment. So please bear with me here as I go take care of that. So apologies so much for having to miss the action because Something has unfolded here. As you can see, Rivera and Zhang have made their way ahead of Portis, or maybe more accurately, Portis has dropped back from Rivera and Zhang. Maybe a mistake that I failed to see there. But Rivera now finds himself in P2 of the race, with Zhang close behind. Portis trying to make his way back up there. Wonder if there was a little bit of an issue there. Zhang looking to make the move here down the start-finish straight, has the outside line, maybe forcing Rivera a little bit wide there, and does force him a little bit wide, gets a better run as they go into turn 2 here. Zhang on the outside, that's a really good line here, but we have the last turn here. They're side by side. This is really where this little section ends, and Zhang looks to be just squeaking out ahead. That was an awesome move from Zhang there to take P2 from Rivera. Some excellent battles between our drivers right here. That was incredible, incredible driving. Very close between everyone right there. That gives Portis a little bit of a time to catch up here. And even Pena there, the 66 of Henry, a little bit of off-track action there at the end of the lap. But he is back at it. That was some incredible driving from Zhang. Excellent move. Excellent move there. We love to see that kind of action. It's safe. It's exciting. Very good work from Zhang right there to take P2 of the race. That does drop them back a little bit further from Larson here, who now has like a 12-second gap from these guys here. And maybe Rivera is going to be making another move back at Zhang. We'll have to see what comes of here. Yeah, Larson or Portis looks a little bit. Here we have another battle here between Collis and Fletcher. Collis coming up to the back of the Mercedes here. I think he's a little bit too far back to make the move here, but let's see if Collis has the momentum down the start-finish straight. Looks like both of them got pretty good exits. Collis is looking for the gap, doesn't find it. Incredible moves from our drivers today. Here maybe they can make the charge to get to Larson. Although Larson's just gaining more and more time back. Penio and Turnbull still battling it out there on the back. Pena doing well to stick with this group here. He's second off. We have Rodman and Turnbull as they come up and down the hill into the second chicane. Ahead of them they have Penio getting awfully close there. Know that Rodman is one of our drivers using VR tonight. Had a driver just leave there. Rodman looking for a gap to make a move. Isn't able to make it happen. Just not enough room. Looks like we had Nunez drop off due to some lag issues. Really do hate to see that. No fault of his own, just the connection just didn't work out. Looks like Turnbull's car there does have a bit of damage on the front of it. Pinio managing that chicane very nicely, pulling ahead of the drivers behind. Here we have Pena catching up to his teammate up ahead, Rivera. Portis has made his way ahead of Rivera. That's a move that we missed. Must have been a mistake from Rivera because it looks like he's dropped back to his teammate here. He's not going to be happy with that little mistake right there. But we know Rivera's got the speed. He's got the ability. Let's see if him and his teammate can really muster up that speed, muster up that pace, and get back up to contention with Portis and Zhang up in front. Even Zhang's been able to gain a bit of a gap on Portis too. Something to note. Pena seems to be gaining on his teammate there. Larson slowly making time. Slowly improving his times, I should say. Pena is getting closer and closer to his teammate here. But I don't know if he's going to be making the move. Rivera does get a little time back. Ooh, there we have our friend Pinio there. It's a little bit of an off-track excursion back now to Alberts. Back near Alberts. Say Albert's a little bit of an off-track excursion himself. Alberts is down a few laps there, so Pinio's got to make up that time again after that little mistake. Rodman's made his way ahead of Turnbull. There, Pinio goes into the pits. Yep, there he is, taking his pit stop. 38 minutes left in this race. Might actually not be a bad time. Rodman, Turnbull, and Wolf still battling here. Might be a good idea for Pinio after that little mistake there to take this pit stop. So could be a good move from him. Get some clean air, get some clean driving room for himself. Here we watch Matt Fender in a little bit of a bubble here between Wicks and Fletcher. Currently just outside of the top 10. Taking that hairpin very well there from what I could tell. Good work from Fender. Back to a bit of a battle here. Turnbull and Rodman. Turnbull just not able to keep enough pace to get ahead of Rodman here. Rodman actually doesn't have the fastest laps of these two drivers are very close. Rodman's is just slightly slower, but the last few laps, Rodman has had some faster laps, which is why you see him ahead now. Pinio has cleared his pit stop. Turnbull looking on the inside, going into the first chicane, thinks better of it. Not a good opportunity from that point of view. Definitely was smart to pull back from that. These chicanes can be really tricky to go too wide in. It's definitely, it's obviously more advantageous to go in single file, but I feel like if anything, people mostly take that first chicane as the opportunity to make a pass if there's going to be one at a chicane on this track. That being said, I think the first chicane might be the most difficult because of those sausage curbs. Makes it very difficult to go too wide in. Update on Pena and Rivera. No changes in position so far. Pena's sticking close to Rivera, but they haven't been able to make their way back up to Portis just yet. Rodman opts to stay out. We have another car ahead. Wolf going into the pits. Can imagine we'll see some other drivers do that as well as time goes on. 35 minutes left in the race. Another battle that might be brewing here is Belanger and Suntalap. Also, Van Fleet and Reed awfully close together here. Looking at the timings, definitely Van Fleet and Reed have a nice close battle forming up here between the Ferrari and Porsche drivers. Only two drivers have opted to take their pit stop in this first 27 minutes. We are getting close. I can imagine drivers are going to be filing in here shortly. Driver off track. We have the 99 car of Pinio off track there by the chicane. Takes the road back onto the track there. Take a look at some of our other drivers. We have Larson up here in the front, currently I believe 16 seconds up from the drivers behind. Really commanding this race. Shenkai Zhang doing well to hold off Portis. Has gained a 1.5 second gap on him. Currently sitting P2. Portis is in P3. Rivera catching up in P4. Right behind him. Looks like Rivera is catching, slowly but surely, so we'll have to monitor that as we keep going. Rivera's teammate here, Abner Pena, in the Aston Martin. Doing well to stick with his teammate, but has dropped back just slightly over the last few laps. Reed and Van Fleet could be a good battle here forming. As we watch the two drivers come through the hairpin on their way back to the start-finish line. Final chicane for our drivers as they come down the main straight. Van Fleet behind. Doing well to stick with Reed, but has definitely had some faster laps than Reed. Just needs to get back in the groove of things. Max Suntalap and Belanger getting awfully close here. Within a second, Wicks is in the pits. Belanger, Reed's teammate. Following in here. Far behind we have Wicks, who's now coming out of the pits, or actually maybe coming into the pits. Yep, there he is for his pit stop. Matt Fender. in the Audi. In his own little zone there, but with Wicks' pit stop will be temporarily promoted into P10. As we reach the halfway point here. Then we have Fletcher behind in the Mercedes. Ronan Racing. Trying to catch Fender up in front. Behind Fletcher, we have Collis. The new dad in the group. Recently had his son be born. Another congratulations for him. And a huge thank you to his wife for being a saint and letting him race as he gets a little bit squirrely there on that exit of the final turn. Easy place to get a little bit unruly. We have Rodman here in the pits. Pena's in the pits as well. So Rodman and Pena opting for their pit stop here. Skurskowski, our new driver and our only Lamborghini driver so far. Usually Reed, or in previous seasons I should say, Reed and Belanger would be racing in the Lamborghini. It was their car of choice for many, many, many seasons. And only this season actually have they moved over to the Ferrari. And it seems to be performing very well for them. Henry with a drive-through, most likely for off-track occurrences. We have our friend Wolf back here. Don't think we've taken a look at Wolf yet. Doing well in the Aston Martin. Not opting for a pit stop yet. Portis and Rivera in the pits. Reed and Belanger in the pits as well. Adam Henry coming into the pits to serve a drive-through or get a pit stop. One or the other. Probably going to get the pit stop first, if I would imagine. We have our friend Pinio and then Martin Alberts. A few laps back from maybe some incidences at the beginning of the race, but still muscling through, still going. Our leader, Christopher Larson's in the pits. Oh, and it looks like Rivera will actually get out ahead of Portis there in the pit stop. So that was a move done in the pits right there. Very sneaky from Rivera there. But Rivera is able to eke out a little bit of a gain there during the pit stop. Henry's drive-through has been cleared. I believe he's going to still have to go, and it looks like Henry is sadly left. Definitely frustrating a lot of people this track tonight. As you can see, Pena's there behind Martin Alberts, a lapped car. But it really goes to show how good Rivera's pit stop was there. Definitely gained a lot of time. Van Fleet is in the pits. Ooh, Martin Alberts gets sideways. He's back on the track there behind Pena. Gets sideways into turn 2 there. Turnbull here with a lapped car in front of him. Looks like it may be a lapped Mercedes, so looks like Pinio. Pinio opting to let him past. 25 minutes left in the race. Sunthilap in the pits. Alberts and Turnbull have yet to make their pit stop. Portis awfully close to Rivera here. Gonna take a look here at Portis and Rivera and their little battle ensuing here. Very close between these two. As they head down the back straight here, Rivera and Portis. Rivera seeing Portis in the rear view camera of the Honda NSX. Looks like Portis just isn't able to find the space, get the time to be able to make a move. Going to be something to talk about after this race, Rivera and that excellent pit stop. Currently going to set him into P3 once the pit stop is taken by Turnbull there. Porta's sticking with well, but hasn't had an opportunity to pass. Rest of the field has been spreading out after the pit stops. We'll have to see where the battles pop up later. Right now, this is where the battle is. Both drivers doing well, matching pace well. Turnbull now opting to take his pit stop finally. He is the last to do so. Or, sorry, Martin Alberts is there as well. Pinot opting to let these drivers past here. On the power nice and early there. Good move from Portis. Looking on the inside, but really too far away to make anything happen. Just trying to poke his nose in there a little bit. Let him know that he's still there, still willing to battle it out. Sunthalap getting close to Wicks here. Very close. Let's take a little bit of a break from this right here. Wicks really gets squirrely there on the second chicane. And Sunthalap's going to get very close now. Isn't able to make the move there because Wicks was taking up a lot of the track there with that little bit of a incident. See how Wicks defends here. Portis doesn't look to be getting too close. Here's our friend Ricardo Rivera fending off Portis. And then same look, Darren Wicks fending off Sunthalap. Very close, both of these drivers to their challenger ahead. Been some very good battles so far through this race. A lot of interesting and unique moves done. I don't think I've seen a move in my time as an announcer of a driver making a pass in the pits. I think Rivera might just be the first driver I've seen actually pull something like that off. So incredibly impressive there. Incredibly impressive moves from Rivera. Whatever transpired there to make that pit stop so much faster, or just get on to the gas and everything so much faster. So very cool there. Very cool first for me, at least in terms of my time as the commentator here for ZRL. We had some great battles from Zhang in the early race to pass Rivera. Some good battles throughout. But as we mentioned, Zolder's just very hard to pass at. There just isn't a lot of opportunities because really, to get the maximum out of Zolder, you need to be utilizing really the full track width and a very narrow and exact strip of land where you're going to have the fastest laps. In some tracks, you can take maybe multiple lines through different turns. You can be more expressive in how you handle that. But this one, you really have to be on the money. As Turnbull tries to maybe make a move on Skrzkowski here. Skrzkowski. But isn't able to make it happen. Taking another look through here, Pena has dropped back quite a bit from the drivers that were in front of him. Maybe got some traffic or something, but now is really not in contention against Portis and Rivera now. Was doing really well in the first half of the race to stick with, so very commendable performance there. Portis is close, but not quite. Reed has been able to, has actually fallen back a bit from Van Fleet here. Now is 4 seconds back after the pit stops. Still within his grasp as we have 16 minutes left to go. But it's going to be a lot more of a long shot now. Van Fleet doing well to hold his ground. Belanger sunk the lap here. Turnbull has passed. New driver very close just watch the move actually happen there. May have been a little bit of contact, but they are able to stay moving forward, which is always the goal. Now Turnbull's going to try to build the gap there in his Audi. Vera still doing a great job holding off Portis there. Looking very comfortable now that we're a lot further into the race. Rivera has been setting some really good laps. Best lap is a 28, almost flat. It is better than Portis's best time. Portis is sticking with well, though, in terms of his laps. Here we have our other battle between Wix and Sunthalap. Sunthalap hasn't been able to make a move yet, just isn't close enough. Needs to get a better exit than Wix on one of these turns, one of these long straights, because that's about the only opportunity you have to make a move. Maybe turn one if you're lucky. We have seen some excellent moves in turn one, but really it's dangerous going into turn one and trying to make that move, because the next 3 turns, as you saw with the battles between Zhang and Rivera, the next 3 turns really offer a good opportunity for the driver who was overtaken to gain back a position. Generally, what you're going to want to do on turn one is you're going to want to take that inside line and cut him off, or make him go long. Wiggs cutting over the sausage curve there, but in turn one, you really want the opposing driver to go long. And maybe mess up there, but going long sets them up well for turns 2 and 3 and 4. Which is exactly what we saw Rivera do so well. Portis into turn one. I was just talking about turn one being a good spot to pass. Portis is able to make the pass and make it stick. Let's actually go back and see if we can watch that. Didn't go back enough, but let's see if we can go back even further here. And we watch Portis just gets a really good run down the main straight, which is exactly what you don't want to do. Holds the bumper, actually takes the outside line and sweeps on in. Excellent move from Portis there. Gets the momentum, takes the outside going into turn 2, and then just cuts him off. That's an excellent move for Portis there. Definitely going to want to ask him about that after the race. But we will probably need to watch a little bit of this battle ensue as we continue on. And now back to real time. We're coming on close to 10 minutes left in the race. Wolf and Rodman have a little bit of a battle here. Let's see what comes of that. Now looking at Portis and Rivera here. They have the lapped car of our new driver Matt Sirkowski, or Skurskowski. Goodness gracious, I'm gonna have to ask him about that. But that does give Rivera another opportunity here to maybe make the move, and Portis holds out, just takes that middle line here as we have this strange little camera issue there at the hairpin. Portis feels comfortable there, just takes what he knows. And gets a very good run on that start-finish straight, is able to hold off. Turnbull getting close to Wolf now. This is actually happening right ahead of Portis and Rivera. Now coming up to 9 minutes left in this race. I've seen some really great battles so far already from our drivers, and there might be more to come. As you can see behind this little battle here for P14, we have the battle with Portis and Rivera for the last podium position. Marcus Van Vliet has been running well in the Porsche for this entire race, currently sitting P6. Hasn't had much trouble to deal with. Reed was giving a little bit of pressure before the pit stops, but was really Van Vliet's really been able to build up a gap since then. Hasn't been nearly as much of a threat. Again, can watch two battles here, one between Wolf and Rodman and Turnbull, and the one between Rivera and Portis. Fender is getting close to Belanger. That's something we're going to want to watch out for. That is for our final top 10 position. So like I mentioned, next week we are going to be having a guest commentator and broadcaster. But when we come back for the next race after that, it's going to be really interesting to see how the standings are going to align themselves going into the last three races of the season. That's definitely something we're going to want to watch and look out for as these two drivers attempt to navigate traffic here. It's going to be interesting to see where the battles are going to lie as we now go into the last three races of the season. I know we took a look at the standings just a few races ago, and oh, that is actually not great for Rivera there, going through the traffic. Wolf just wasn't in the right place for Rivera to make that a nice and easy, clean pass, as Rodman goes off the track there and is able to hold the car, but he's going to need to make it back. Rivera drops back quite a bit from that little incursion there. But like I said, it's going to be really interesting to see where the battles are going to fall this season, as we do have some prizes on the line, some small prizes nonetheless, but some small prizes, yes, but prizes nonetheless. So there are some stakes for the drivers, and even though we've had a very commanding performance from Larson in this championship, that by no means is the only prizes that we are going to be giving away. I believe there's a raffle for those in 2 through 5th place, and there's also a raffle from actually I think it's from 1 to 5 and 1 to 10. And if you've won the first one, you can't win the second one. So I think there's going to be some prizes on the line for our drivers. As we look here, Rivera is able to catch back up to Portis here on the last lap. 5.5 minutes left. Fender and Belanger. That battle's getting close. Turnbull is able to make quite a move. Moves his way up into P13 ahead of Rodman and Wolf back there. Collis also drops back quite a lot. Probably an off track, a little occurrence from Collis there to move back to 16th. As Portis has been able to pull away just a little bit here. Might be able to, a fun little note and story is we might be able to have a little ZRL meetup in real life between myself and Larson during a trip I've got coming up in the next few weeks. I asked him where the best go-karting places were in the town where he lives and gave me some recommendations, and I was like, wait, why don't you join me? So there might be a chance that not only will Larson destroy me on the virtual track, but there could be a chance that Larson will destroy me on a real track as well in the near future. So that'll be a fun little meetup between some ZRL folks coming up in the next couple weeks. As we have 4 minutes left in the race. Checking out where Larson is on the track right now. He's probably got 2 or 3 laps left in the race, which means our drivers that we're currently watching in battle right now have about the same. Rodman's getting close to Turnbull. Belanger and Fender getting close together as well. Watching Fender here coming up right on the tail of Belanger there. Behind them, Fletcher and the Mercedes is also getting awfully close. Isn't close enough to be considered, in that battle just yet, but could be very soon if these two start squabbling. And there's the pit window closing out here as we have 3 minutes left in this race. Larson just crossed the finish line a little bit prior. I think that means 3 laps left. Portis and Rivera awfully close between these two. Let's see what happens here. Portis getting a really good exit onto the start-finish straight. And Rivera behind, sticking close. Not close enough to make a move, though. Van Fleet is closing up on Pena in front of him. Collis has made his way in front of Wolf. Here we see our friend Sunthalap with the lapped car of Pinio right behind. Back to the battle. Rivera doing a really good job to stay close, but their paces are almost identical in terms of the laps that they're currently running. Their fastest laps too are very close as well, so there's just really not much opportunity for Rivera to make a move, although he's getting really close. My goodness. Just look at him right on the tail of Portis here. That chicane, though, is really, I think, a struggle for Rivera to stick close to Portis through the chicane here. Portis does pull like a tenth out of that chicane, but here we go, Rivera even closer this lap as they go into what is most likely their final lap, I want to say. But we'll have to watch Larson here, as Larson will determine when that last lap occurs. as we have 40 seconds left in this race. Whenever he crosses the finish line after that time has gone off, that is when drivers will start coming in for their final laps. Rivera still very close to Portis here. Could be one of his last chances here as we have 22 seconds left. And I think we're going to have one more lap of this race if I am thinking about this correctly in terms of the time that it takes to get to the start finish line. And indeed, that's where the timing line is right there. We will have one more lap of the race. This will be the last lap, though, for Larson, who's commanded this race from the beginning. Fastest lap, pole position, and has currently led all laps of the race. So really doing well for him there. Portis and Rivera, great battles here as they cross the start-finish line for the second to last time here. It's the last time they'll keep going for another lap, as this is their last lap now, as Rivera's dropping back just a little bit. Just isn't able to keep close to Portis on that last, out of that last chicane. Fender has been able to move ahead of Belanger, and also Fletcher's been able to move ahead of Belanger. Belanger drops 2 positions to P12. Van Fleet getting very close to Pena. Is he going to be able to make a move? We'll have to see. But as we come to the close, here we go. It's going to be a bit of a mystery as to how our little battle is going on back there. But here we go. Christopher Larson. That's another win for him. 6 in a row. Has won all the races so far. Congratulations to him. He will be the winner of our race. Zhang now. Excellent moves by Zhang. This last little bit of the race has been pretty quiet for him, but that's not to say that he hasn't had a phenomenal race, as we saw that amazing move that he pulled on Rivera earlier in the race. Absolutely textbook. Very absolute work of art on track. Definitely deserving of that P2. Very good performance from him. Right behind him, we have Portis and Rivera as they race to the line. Rivera's just not able to squeak it out. Portis will get the final podium position, and if I'm correct, I think that is his first podium of the season. Wow, excellent performance from all of our drivers here. That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. We have a few other drivers here now. Pena will end P5. Van Fleet will end in P6. Reed is coming across the final turns here. Wicks, Fender, Fletcher, all Turnbull, Wolf, Rodman, Collison, uh, uh, Skurskowski have all finished their laps. Alberts has finished his laps. Reed will come out in P7. Sunthilap right behind him, P8. Last driver, but definitely not least, is our friend Glenn Pinio as he crosses the finish line. That will close out our race. Well, there you have it, folks. That is 60 minutes finished here at Zolder. What an excellent performance, and a very, very large congratulations to our winner, Christopher Larson there, who has really commanded our season so far. Definitely commanded that race right there. Um, Shankai Zhang, another amazing performance from him. I know, um, absolutely beaming about that amazing move that he pulled there on Rivera into turn one. The battles between Rivera and Zhang there was just excellent, and to even mention Portis and Rivera there, great battles there at the end. We're actually going to pull in Portis here for an interview. I'm going to pull him in right now. All right, let's do it. And I think, oh, Portis has moved himself in here by himself because he can do that.
Yes, I can.
You can do that, Portis. Congratulations on a P3. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is that your first podium this season?
Second one.
That's your second podium. Apologies. But excellent race there. Now I know you got P2 in qualifying there, and for that first little bit of the race, um, you were holding P2 just fine. Obviously, some really close battles with Zhang and especially Rivera there at the end. But what happened to? I missed it because I was taking a quick break at the time. But what actually happened there to have you drop from P2 to P4? Was there a bit of an issue? Can you walk me through that?
There was a little bit of issue with traffic. We were coming through car number 24, and we were passing them through after the second chicane coming around the corner. The car 24 broke a little late, so I
Hmm.
had to open up the steering wheel so he didn't hit me, and that allowed the other two to go swooping underneath me in the hairpin. They had to
Ah.
fight back to get a position.
Well, that is unfortunate. I think maybe if things would have gone different, you've been fighting with Zhang there instead of Rivera at the end for maybe a P2 performance. But yeah, that was incredible. And man, those battles with Rivera, you must have you must have been gripping that steering wheel pretty hard throughout the whole race to seeing him in your rearview mirror.
Yeah, it was quite exciting. It was a very fierce battle. The entire race, I had a lot of fun, and he was very clean, and we left each other space, so that allowed us to go, side by side a few times.
What do you think was the key to making that final move to get into P3? Do you, because looking at the timing, you guys were like spot on with pace, but you just took advantage of that one situation. How did you set that up?
Forcing him to defend, right? So you have to force him to defend going into the turn one. He had a narrow lines, and I was able to open up the corner, and he ran a little bit wide, and I swooped in underneath, and that I just needed to carry a little extra speed to make sure I was clear coming through turn two. But yeah, forcing the defense is
Yeah,
what set it up.
that's excellent. Love to see that. So, uh, I think in terms of like previous seasons, this one's been a pretty tough one for you. We've had a lot of faster racers, but what's your goals, I guess, here as we wind down with the last few races of the season? Like, what are you shooting for in the standings, and what are you gonna do to hopefully secure that goal?
Right now, looking at the standings and where we fall pace wise, P3 is the goal, and it's going to be neck and neck with me and Rivera. I think Larson and Chang are uh, a little too far ahead to
Hmm.
bridge that gap, so we would need a little bit of luck to get higher in the standing.
Right, and next race you have, I believe, your Joker at Alton Park, if I'm not mistaken, right?
That is correct.
So interesting to see how that'll play out. I was mistaken earlier in the stream. I said Olton was not a good car for the NSX, but I was corrected by Larson. Turns out the NSX is really good at Olton Park. So that'll be interesting to see how you manage going up the field from the back of the pack there.
Yep. The NSX is pretty strong in the right hands, so you can look forward to Larson putting up some pretty cracking lap times,
Some
and
scorchers.
I'll be fighting from the back. The goal is to get aggressive and see how far we can get up. Hopefully, we can get back to the top five. That would be the goal for the reverse grid, or not reverse grid, my Joker.
Right. Well, I'm excited to see it. I know next week we're going to have a guest broadcaster, but it's going to be an exciting race. Hopefully everyone tuning in right now is able to tune in for that one. And thanks Portis for your time and a great job today for the P3 performance.
Thank you, and thank to all our viewers and participants.
Yeah,
Catch you later.
awesome. Thank you. Well, there you have it, folks. That's a bit of a word from our third place podium winner right there, Portis on the season so far. We've seen some great battles here during this race at Zolder. But I do want to say huge congratulations to our winner, Larson. He has been absolutely dominant, as all you can see. Huge congratulations for him. He definitely has earned it. And another driver to shout out again, I want to shout out Zhang. Those amazing passes early in the race, and amazing battles between Rivera and Portis as well. It's going to be an excellent battle with those two as we go further into this season. Um, Rivera and Portis are neck and neck in terms of pace when it comes to these races, so it's going to be a very exciting podium battle for our standings. But with that said, that's all I've got for tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. As Portis said, thank you to our viewers and to everyone coming out to drive. Thank you for your support. It really does mean the world to us. And without you, we couldn't make this happen. So thank you so much. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. And if you're interested in supporting us in any way, be sure to just like and subscribe and share Zealous Racing League with some of your friends, some of your buddies that might be into racing, and let's just spread this community. If you also even know somebody who's new to sim racing, have them join our Discord, join our community. All of the links are on the homepage of our YouTube channel. That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information on our leagues, and that's also where we have the wealth of resources that are all of our drivers. We have a lot of great talent, and everyone is really willing to offer up their support and their assistance if you ask for it. So if you're new to sim racing, if you're just looking for another community, be sure to check us out, and we'd be happy to help. So again, that's all I got though, everyone. My name is Shim. I've been your host tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, and we'll see you next week, or our guest broadcaster will see you next week for round 7 at Olton Park. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night, and peace.